As we think about Adam and Eve's first sin, we think of the fall. One of the passages we're in this week is 1 John 2. And 1 John 2 actually directly takes us back to that first sin in Genesis 3. John says, "Do not love the world, nor the things in the world." And then he talks about the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the boastful pride of life. Think through that first temptation in Genesis chapter 3. The serpent tempted Eve with how beautiful the fruit looked. Satan is incredibly powerful, but honestly, he's not very creative. He still uses the same tactics. He wants us to look around at the world, look at all it has to offer. As a matter of fact, that's how he tempted Jesus as well. Remember? He showed them all these things through his eyes in order to tempt him. And as we look around this world, we're tempted to think that God's holding out on us. That's what Adam and Eve felt. They could eat of all of the trees in the garden except for one, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And somehow in our humanity, and especially in our brokenness, whenever we see something that God says we can't have, we immediately think he's holding out on us. We think his heart toward us is not good. And when we start believing that, then the enemy already has us in his grip. We need to believe that God is for us, that his heart toward us is good. And then we can look around the things the world has to offer. And God says, these are not good. And suddenly God's commands become an invitation to our highest delight and our highest pleasure. It's not just the duty or the drudgery of obedience. It's responding to an invitation to our highest delight. And if God prohibits something, like the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, or other things that the world goes after, he's actually trying to protect us and warn us away from our worst nightmare. You all know I hate snakes. All I need to do to picture God's prohibition is a pit or a den of vipers. And I'm reminded my God is for me. He's calling me away from my worst nightmare and to my highest delight. Is that your view of God? That he's that good? That he loves you that much? And that his commands are so beautiful? Do not love the world, nor the things in the world.